Contests. A chance to throw your hat in the ring and compete with your peers, to see how you stack up on an even playing field. I can't think of anything much more exciting than that. Hey there trainers, today I have two monsters to share with you. Both fairy types, oddly enough. I didn't plan that actually. Weird. Anyway, the first is my entry into the Croneo 10K contest. I absolutely love Mateys region based on Scotland and a little bit of Canada. When the opportunity came to enter a mon of my own into the region, I was determined to do so. Oh, a quick note, this script is being written well in advance of any winners being officially announced. Wish me luck in the comments, trainers. Also, part of the contest parameters is that things about my design may be changed if it does win and needs some tweaking to better fit the region, which is fine. Anyway, I had a lot of ideas. The only criteria was that these were to be Scottish in inspiration, specifically, and couldn't be a concept which had already been covered in Croneo. Regional variants, though, perfectly acceptable. Funny thing is, I'd been engaging in one of Matt's live streams a long while back. At the time, Tatsugiri was on my mind. See, Boreal Mind had made their Germansburg Tatsugiri, which inspired me to make my own Solarian Tatsugiri, which inspired Red Paragon G to make one for their as-yet unnamed Florida region. This all culminated more recently in Boreal, super prolific creative that she is, creating the concept for a Tatsugiri variant for every canon region, plus a restaurant in her region where you can catch them along with Reds in my own Tatsugiri. Tatsugiri everywhere. But anyway, back to the live stream, I asked Matt, hey, any chance of a regional Tatsugiri based on a Scottish seafood dish? He said he hadn't thought of one, but didn't rule out the concept. As new Croneo content was released, I kept looking, but I didn't see one pop up, so I knew that this had to be my entry. Now, I had to figure out what dish to base it on. In the end, I saw the most potential in the Scottish version of the smoked fish pie. Coming from New Zealand, I'm no stranger to ye olde smoked fish pie. It's one of my favorites behind steak and cheese and lamb and mint. You can get this kind of savory pie in most places. The key difference between what I'm familiar with and the version which is Scottish, if the recipes I found online are to be believed, are the addition of chopped boiled egg and peas. Oh, and that they use locally sourced haddock as the basic fish for the recipe. So I started designing with these things in mind. Haddock have 3 dorsal fins, so I gave my Tatsugiri the same number and patterned them like bits of boiled egg. Oh, and of course the pie crust is the belly of the beastie, much like regular Tatsugiri sushi rice. I added a pie top to the back and added some little black scales to look like the holes one would poke in the crust to vent steam. The body's colored the white of a cream sauce that the fish would be poached in, and we have 2 little peas for cheeks. I gave him a goofy little smile too, just for the sheer cuteness of it. Plus, being as it's a fairy, I figured that it might want to look a little more jovial. Meet Cronean Tatsugiri, the mimic Pokémon. Found in Croneo's most frigid waters, this Tatsugiri evolved away from the dragon type some millennia ago. It developed a thick, doughy skin to insulate itself against the cold. Despite being fairly powerful, it will do almost anything to avoid Seelapup in its evolved forms, all of whom find Tatsugiri delectable. So, types are water and fairy. Fairy seems to be the standard food Pokemon typing after all, except for regular Paldean Tatsugiri, I guess. So, the ability for Paldean Tatsugiri is Commander, a pretty unique and powerful ability overall. When an allied Dodonzo is on the field, Tatsugiri goes in its mouth, doubling Dodonzo's stats at the expense of it being put at a 1-against-2 disadvantage. I wanted to create something similar for my own version. Immediately I was drawn to the Cronean Seelapup line. It's a convergent of Lillipup and is obviously a seal. What's one of the haddock's most feared predators? If you guessed the seal, you'd be on the ball. So I came up with a custom ability, Tasty Evasion. When Seelapup, Herdial, or Stoutsia is on the field, ally or foe, Tatsugiri's evasion raises by 4 stages. Activates once per encounter only, bypasses Keen-Eye, but can be lowered by evasion-reducing moves like Sweet Scent. Moves that can't miss, such as Swift, are also unaffected. So, there's our fishy friend for Croneo. Now, how about we set sail for another Fakemon region, the tropical island biome of Voyard. Arr. So, as I said in my last Voyard video, I wanted to take a stab at a Pokemon related to the regional gimmick, that being Treasure Evolution. I won't go into too much detail here, except to say that it pushes certain Pokemon to a higher state of being. The prompt I picked was for an evolution to Clefable. The whole Clefable line is a favorite of mine. In fact, until Fido rolled up on the scene, it was my favorite fairy line, bar none. Still, it holds a special place in my heart, so when I saw this prompt, I jumped on it. Treasure Evolution Clefable. Fairy Psyche. The energy of Treasure Evolution seems to have awoken dormant genes in Clefable. Now Clefable seems to be more related to the moon, where its kin are said to live. Closer ties to the moon? Several things came to mind. Moonstone, not the Pokemon item, but the real-world gem. This is especially significant given the name of the gimmick. What's more treasury than gemstones after all? Oh, and lunar moths. cycles. I know Frostmoth is already a lunar moth, but it's fine. Also moon cycles. I didn't want to completely change the colors of the line, but I did want to break up and frame all of that pink with other pastel shades, blue, yellow, and green. The clefable's wings have finally bloomed into their full size after starting out as tiny little nubs on Clefairy's back. I used inspiration from the lunar moth for patterns and colors. Its hair is also green just to add some visual interest to the face. The ears are in the shape of a crescent moon lying on its back. I added a moon phase belt to the waist to break up that big area of pink too. Socks and gloves of blue to finish, plus a rainbow-hued sheen to the skin. It's super light, barely noticeable, but it's meant to emulate the way that Moonstone refracts light. Highlights are minimal and bright to showcase the smoothness of this skin and hair. And here we have Clefantasy, the lunar fairy Pokemon. This proud pixie is the embodiment of magical prowess. It will use the simple patterns on its wings to confuse and misdirect while dealing damage. If you encounter one while the moon is full, you are advised to be polite and respectful. It's a fairy and psychic type. That to me just screams magic. Abilities are standard for Clefable, except for the hidden ability which I stole straight from Lunala. Seemed fitting. One last thing to note is that treasure evolution is in fact permanent, so be sure that you like this form before switching things up for your Clefable. Would you do it? Let me know in the comments. So, I actually have at least one more line for Voyard. I snagged a prompt and base design from my buddy the Iron Templar. I'm actually really excited to collaborate with him, but I don't have the designs quite ready for this video. As always, when it comes to collaborations, I want to make sure that the end product is the best that I can make it. There's a link to Iron's Instagram in the description, along with my fellow Tatsugiri enjoyers from earlier in the video. Go take a look if you need some more Fakemon fun in your life. Still, I hope you enjoyed this one and these designs. I'm looking forward to catching you in the next video, trainers, but till then, take care. Bye.